What do you do when you're working in HR and you feel stuck? You feel like there's nowhere else for you to go. You might feel that there's no more excitement around the role. You might feel that there's no more for you to learn. You might feel like you've done everything that you can do. There's so many reasons why you might feel stuck. But what do you do when you get there? How do you get unstuck? How do you move beyond that career plateau? What have I done to get me past those points? How did I grow my career from unpaid HR intern all the way through executive leadership? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So go ahead and get your notebook. Okay, of course, you know the drill. I've got my notes here. I want to make sure you get everything that I'm pouring out into you today. So make sure you have something to write with and grab all this that we're going to talk about. So I've literally lost count on how many times I've lost the joy or the passion around what I deal with in HR and how I feel that my impact was being valued. There's been plenty of times where I felt that way. And the reason why I felt that way is the reasons why I don't want you to feel that way today. So I was talking to an HR colleague earlier today, and she put words to something that I hadn't really thought about before. We were talking about, our experiences working as HR departments of one. She's an HR leader coaching other small businesses in their HR functions, and that's great. But what I do is I help HR departments of one to grow your department, to optimize your department, to add value to your teams so you can rise through the ranks and, of course, build your impact, build your influence, and ultimately build your income. Because that's one of the few ways that we can show that we are valued, or that the company shows that they value us, is through our level of income. So let's just be honest about that. So that's my goal. But we were talking about our experiences as HR departments of one. And when you're an HR department of one and you're working, you might be newer to HR, you might not be newer to HR. But either way, it's almost like, especially when you're the first one in a while that has that mentality of growing and optimizing and developing, you feel like you're literally building it from scratch. You feel like you're trying to create things on your own. And so when we talked about it, she mentioned the idea of crowdsourcing, your HR role. And I was like, that's exactly what it feels like. You feel like you have to get all this information from so many different places. You're Googling this, you're going into forums for this, you're going to chapter meetings for this, you're looking on SHRM's website for this, and you literally have to piecemeal things together, crowdsource things together. And that's really no way to lead an HR department. The accounting team doesn't have to do that. The finance team doesn't have to do that. Operations doesn't have to do that. There's no other industry where you have to literally put your departments together, put your department work together. When you're an HR department of one, you almost have no choice until you get my HR leadership library. That's what I put it together for. I'll talk more about that as we go on. But I've literally built a roadmap for you to walk into your HR day and understand not just how to do your payroll and your benefits and all that. That comes with your job. Every organization is going to be different. But what do you do to add value to your company? What do you do to show that you're doing more than just maintaining? You're doing more than just wading in the water. Like, you're literally building things, optimizing things. And at the end of a 12-month span of working together with me through this program, you'll have a track record of success that you can present to your senior leadership team, to your CEO, and say, listen, this is what I did. This is why I did it. This is the problem that I solved. This is how I tracked it, and all the things that go around, just not just going through the motions of an HR department. So that's another conversation we'll have for another time. But today I want to talk to you about how it feels when you are feeling stuck. You feel stuck for a lot of different ways. You might not feel that people around you value the work that you do. And when you say value the work that you do, oftentimes that's equated to our level of income compared to our peers. And so when it comes to, how much input we have, how much influence we have, how much they take what we say as, as the truth, because we know we've done our research, we know we've gotten our education, we know the things that we know. But if you're getting second guessed and you're getting challenged on things that you know to be true, that feels a bit deflating. So what do you do when you get to the point in your career where you're like, you know what, just let them have it? What do you do when you get there? Do you let them have it? Do you find different ways to break through? Do you do some inner work? What do you do? So I'm going to share with you the things that I did that I feel like I shouldn't have had to do it that way, but there was no other choice. And I'm also going to share with you some things that you can do to break free and break through that without all the headaches that I had to do as I was crowdsourcing my HR work. So the first thing I want to make sure you understand is that when I came into HR, I was an intern working under someone else's leadership. When I became an HR department of one, when my supervisor at the time moved away, I didn't have the manager title at that time because I was just a recent college graduate, didn't really know what HR really took to run effectively. So I was an HR generalist. And so I was an HR generalist for probably, 2 years or so before my title changed to manager. even though I was doing similar level work. And I gave that to them. So, okay, I'm new. I'm a generalist. Okay, I'll learn. But even when I became a manager, I was like, gosh, I'm a manager and we have other managers. But for whatever reason, I felt the other managers were respected in a different way. They had more credibility. They had more influence. They had more, more ability to do things. And when they said things, people didn't push back on them. People didn't challenge them. And so there were certain things that I did that, again, I wouldn't recommend that you have to do these things, but these things that I did because there was no other way for me to get past it. For me, what I did, I went back to school. So I came into my HR career full time with my bachelor's degree. I went back to school to get my master's degree. And then I went back and got my HR certifications. And I kept doing that to add more and more letters behind my name because, again, I was young. I was so green. Everyone else around me had so many more lived experiences. And I just needed something to really boost my own confidence, to help me to understand, to feel more confident to do the work. I knew the work was big. I knew that no one really understood what I did outside of hiring and firing and benefits because that's all they saw in payroll. But I knew that I felt I was seeking ways that could tell me, gosh, what do I need to do? How do I need to do this day to day? Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to focus on? And I literally scoured the internet for a few different things. One, I Googled probably quarterly, if not monthly, how many employees does it take before you have to add another person to HR? Like how many HR people should you have in HR per your employees? And the rule then is probably similar to the rule it is now. One HR person for every 100 employees. And at the time we had 66 employees. And I was like, oh my goodness, with no talks about expansion. So I was like, okay, so I'm not going to get any help. So either I'm going to walk away from this thing or I need to figure out how to make this work. And when I realized that, okay, it's one HR person for every 100 employees, we have 66 employees. So, okay, well, that tells me if that's the trend, if that's how it is, then that means that other people are doing it. And one thing about me, if I know that somebody else has done something, okay, well, that's my go ahead. If I can see that someone else has done it, then that means that I can do it. Like there's literally nothing that someone else can do that I can't do. Like if I'm equipped to do it, like I'm not gonna go like bungee jumping or like flying a plane. Like, but yeah, if I want to go fly a plane, I will learn what it takes to fly a plane. You see what I'm saying? Like there's nothing that someone else can do that if I see them doing it, I know I can do that too. So I want to impress upon you the things that I've been able to do in my career. Let me be that example for you. Like the things I have done, you can do it too. Like I'm literally telling you what I was thinking during that time, what I have done, the things I'm creating for you to do that too. So you don't have to do it the hard way. You don't have to go into everything blind, but you do have to have a plan as you put things together. And that's literally the square that I stand on consistently because you don't want to do things haphazardly. You can't do things haphazardly and expect to have great results. So again, that's probably another video, but I want you to think about how I was thinking. So HR generalist to HR manager, that was a plateau for me because I was like, okay, well, I'm doing the work, but am I doing the work? And eventually I was able to make the case to show my track record, say, okay, these are the things I've done. And so it's time for me to warrant this next step in my career. And so that's a completely other video. But yes, I got my promotion to HR manager. So, okay. And the thing about promotions are good and promotions are motivating for a time, but eventually even that wears itself thin. So the HR manager's highlights, okay, I'm here. I arrived. I was probably satisfied for a few months to a year. And then I was like, you know what? My prior supervisor, when she left, she was a senior HR manager. I'm doing the same thing that she was doing. I'm only an HR manager. And then that kind of started to settle under me. And so the point I'm making here is you can't keep comparing yourself to people. I was comparing myself to people that weren't even there anymore. And so literally you have to run your own race. Because if I kept comparing myself to her and I only compared myself to her, then that would have been my ceiling. And as you can see, it has not been my ceiling. So I was comparing myself to her and I was like, okay, well, she was a senior HR manager. I'm going to be a senior HR manager. And so I kept doing the work, a few more years. And you can probably go to my LinkedIn page and see the timeline kind of laid out because I leave it there just for that reason. But a few more years, I started adding more things to my belt, adding more programs, taking on more responsibility. And I eventually got the senior HR manager title. I was like, okay, great. And I was cool there for a moment. And then a few more years came, still doing the work. my family started to grow. So I had gotten married, started having my kids. I had my first child in 2014. Wonderful experience, but because I was an HR department of one, I had to get assistance from inside the company, and so I still had to kind of do some work while I was away, because there were certain things that not everyone got a chance to do, but that no one else could really touch. So I had to really still be involved in the way. And when I had my second child in 2016, I wanted to make sure that did not happen. So by the time the second child came in 2016, I hired someone else on my team. And so the point I want to make here is, as you grow and as you add things to your department, as you optimize your processes, it makes space to add somebody else. Because I can't say that I'm drowning in my work and I need help. That's not a valid reason. But I can say, hey, listen, I'm getting ready to go on this leave. I'm getting ready to do this. I'm getting ready to, take on this new responsibility. These are my processes. If we bring somebody in here that can handle these things, then this gives me space to do this next project, or go on this leave, or whatever it takes. But again, that's why I put together my programs in a way where you can really outline what you do, when you do it, why you do it, how you track it, so that when you add your next person to your department, they'll have something to work from. You never want that next person to come in and literally have nothing to go by. So I want you to ask yourself a few different questions. So when you find yourself feeling stuck in your role, ask yourself a few different questions. Ask yourself, is it the job or is it you? Now, when I say, is it the job, is it like you don't like the people? Is it that you don't like the work? Like if you were doing the work anywhere, you wouldn't be satisfied. If that's the case, then maybe you should walk away from the job. But if it's not the job, and it's not the people that you work with, it's just, I hate to say it, but it might be you. Like, you might have to realize, like, hey, there might be some things that you need to work on. So for me, I knew that at every level, when I wanted to move up in my career, there were more things that I need to learn or take on or find different ways to optimize. I knew that in order to get my seat at the table, I had to have another level of skill set. I had to have, like, not just HR experience, but also business minded experience. Like, I had to widen my breadth of knowledge. But there's no way for me to use that time to widen my breadth of knowledge if I'm drowning in my HR work. So I had to find ways to make my HR work move like a well-oiled machine to give me that space. So when I say, is it the job or is it you? Only you can decide. Like, if you know you are an HR professional, if you know this is your career, this is not something that you're just trying out, this is not something that you just want to do because you just see it and it seems to be trending. You want to help people. You want to be in your role. You want to be impactful. You know that the work that you do has a lasting impact on people, regardless of people's impression or reputation of HR. You understand that your work is very impactful and you want to continue to do that work. So if you feel stuck in the career, it's not just about money. It has to be more about, like, your passion for it and what you want to do with the role. So ask yourself first, is it the job or is it you? If you find that it's not the job, it's you, then you have to decide, what do I need to do? I'm speaking to you. What do I need to do to break free of this? Do I need to learn something new? Do I need to build my confidence? Do I need to maybe work on some self-care? Like, what is it? What is it about you? What is it about me that we need to find different ways to break out of our funk or break out of our plateau? Again, only we can do that work unless we work with someone who's been there, done that. And that's another conversation as well. Another question you can ask yourself, do you have the support that you need? So I had the benefit of having supportive supervisors. So even though my CEO supervisors never knew and don't know what I do day to day, they've always been supportive of me. If I was ever to find some training or find a program to go into, all I had to ever do was make the case. I was never really turned down for, like, enrolling or investing in my education in that way. But even at home, I had a lot of support from my family, from my husband. Even my kids are so supportive of the things that I do. So ask yourself, do you have the support you need? Sometimes you feel like you're at a plateau because you feel like you don't have the capacity to do anything else, not because you don't want to do more, but because you know people around you won't support that growth. So if you know, like, your supervisor, all they need to do is be presented the facts, be presented the case, be presented that, hey, there's this new opportunity for me to invest, either time or money or energy into, learning this skill or working with this coach or finding different ways to optimize my department, whatever it is that you want to do, investing in this program, this educational program. If you know you have the resources around you and the people around you to support the things that you desire to do, Why are you not taking advantage of it? So ask yourself that question. Do you have the support you need? If you do have the support that you need, lean into it and find different ways to make the most of that opportunity in front of you. Next question. Ask yourself, are you making the time? So I think it's so easy, and even for me, I had to be honest with myself. It's so easy to complain about things that's not happening for us, but then also in our spare time, what are we doing with it? Like, I can't complain about, people don't know who I am in my business. Like, if I'm trying to grow this HR consulting and HR career, if I'm trying to reach HR departments of one, I can't complain that people don't know who I am if I don't ever put my face on it, if I don't ever put my face out there, if I don't ever tell people what I do, tell people about the problems that I solve, tell people about the impact that I'm trying to make in the world. If I don't do that, I can't complain about that. So again, the same thing for you. Like, if you know you have desires and you know you have support and you know you're not making the time to invest in the things you desire to have, we really can't complain. So ask yourself that and be completely honest with yourself. Are you making the time? Are you setting aside time to invest in yourself, whether it's reading a book about what you want to learn, whether it is enrolling in my programs, whether it's working with me one-on-one, whether it's going to any of your SHRM chapter meetings, whatever it is you need to do, are you investing time in what you value and what you say you value? That's really, really important. And then my next question, probably my last question here, is who do you know that can help you? Like, is there anyone in your workplace? Is there anyone in your SHRM chapter? Is there anyone that you know? Is it me who can help you to go to the heights that you want to grow? So the best thing that you want to do when you're looking for someone who can help you to grow in your career is literally someone who's been where you've been. They have a great understanding of how it feels, how it felt for them, but they've also had a way to get through it. There's a lot of HR voices out here. There's a lot of HR voices. Not everyone has had the experience of working as an HR department of one. Not everyone has the experience of working in the HR department of one for a consistent period of time in the same company and then rising through the ranks in that same company. If that is your story, if that's your experience where you're in the HR department of one and you're trying to grow up in that same company, then you need to align with someone who has a similar experience, similar to myself. So you want to find different ways to lean into people who are making themselves available to help you, who have the knowledge and experience to help you and the capacity to help you. That's so important. But again, if you know that it's you that you want to work on, you know that you have the support of your family, of your supervisor, of the people around you that you know you want to do this. If you know you probably haven't been putting that much time into investing in what you want to grow, and then you also know that there's someone out there like me who can help you to grow your career and to put your department on the right path so that you can grow and have the success that you want to have in your career, you really have the formula there to get out of that stuck mode. Because oftentimes being stuck is a mentality. We say that we're stuck, and if we keep saying it long enough, we're going to stay stuck. So we have to tell ourselves, I'm not stuck. You might be paused, but you're not stuck. So again, don't say that you're stuck. Don't speak that over yourself, because there's power of life and death in the tongue. So you want to make sure that everything you speak over yourself needs to be positive. Everything you speak over yourself, even if you say you're not where you want to be, you're not where you want to be yet. Like, you're not where you want to be right now, but it's coming. Everything is coming. If God has put something on your heart, you have that desire to do something and be something greater. You have that on the inside of you. I was in our last HR leadership lessons, after hours calls, one of our members, she said something that really, really stuck with me. She talked about the fact that when we pray for something and we pour our heart out to God, it's unleashed at that moment. It's unleashed at that moment. But sometimes we don't see the results of it right away, because we have to still do what we have to do to get there. And I'm paraphrasing the way she said it, but again, it's more along the lines of, as we have things that happen with us, we still have to do the work to get where we need to go. But the work has already been done. Everything has already been paid for us. We have to just get to where our blessing is and get to where our desire is at that point. And so just anything that I can do to support you along this path, I will be honored to do it. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, you have a desire to grow and develop in your HR career. You likely are leading the HR department on your own with a supervisor who does not know what you do day to day. It could be little to no help. They've got the best intentions. They probably have a heart of gold, but they don't know what you do day to day. So they really can't help you to build your department. Ask me how I know, because I've been there, because I am there. And so it's important to align yourself with other HR department of one leaders who are feeling like they're on an island by themselves. And when you commune with people with like minds and like hearts, it's a powerful, powerful feeling. And my ability to be able to gosh, foster this community is just, it's such a blessing to be able to see, to have such an up close view, an up close seat at what you all are doing out there. It's so special. And so I'm glad to be able to facilitate this community for you, and also to be able to see what you all are doing and praying over your businesses, praying over your companies, praying over your careers, your teams, your families, because it's so important. Again, there's power of life and death in the power of your tongue. So again, if you are making it this far in the video, you have a desire to go forward in your career, get unstuck because you are no longer stuck. And now you probably want to know, what do you need to do to maybe make more money in your job? Like, what's the formula? So watch this very next video. It's going to tell you what I did to help me to break out of my funk and to really make more money in my roles. Hope that blesses you. Talk to you on the next one. Bye.